So I'm Randy Boyd, president of the University of Tennessee, and I'm joined today with Jennifer Tourville, who's a professor at the College of Nursing and also a leader of the new SMART initiative. So Jennifer, tell us a little bit about the SMART Policy Network and how it was formed.
So the SMART Policy Network, it's led by a group of multidisciplinary experts from UT, the UT Institute for Public Service, East Tennessee State University, Metro Drug Coalition, the 4th Judicial District of Tennessee, and Journey Peer Treatment Center. So it's a collaborative effort, and many of the people from this group were previously on the SOAR Planning Committee. So SOAR was the Summit for Opioid Addiction and Response, which was held last year at UT. It was very successful. There were over 700 people that attended from across the state. So the planning committee, following SOAR, they wanted to use that momentum to continue opioid initiatives. So once the pandemic started, that became challenging because we obviously couldn't have another summit. So as strategies were being discussed, Rob Pack with ETSU College of Public Health, he mentioned, oh, what if we did something like a policy network, which the committee really liked that idea. We immediately started planning that and then ended up with the SMART Policy Network.
Well, again, appreciate your leadership on it. So just for all those that are watching, explain to us why this is so important to the state of Tennessee.
So it's important to Tennesseans because substance misuse affects everybody. People don't always realize that. If they aren't suffering from addiction, they don't realize how it impacts everybody across the state. But it does. It affects the people who are suffering from addiction. It affects their families. It affects communities. It affects the entire state, the healthcare system, the school system, the judicial system, transportation, has an impact on the state budget. So policy aimed to mitigate the consequences of substance misuse and addiction can also positively impact all of these other areas within the state.
Thanks. And so through your work, what have you found to be some of the most common misconceptions about substance use disorder?
So the most common misconception is that addiction is a choice, and a lot of people view it as a moral failure. And it's not a choice, it's a disease. No one chooses to have their life taken over by addiction. No one chooses to lose their job or their home or their children or to die from an overdose. Substance use disorder is a disease, and like other diseases, it's preventable and it's treatable. So we know that there are risk factors for developing a substance use disorder. We know that it's been linked to childhood trauma. We know that there are genetic factors. We know that it's been linked to having other mental health disorders. So with early identification of these risk factors, it may be preventable. We also know through the use of neuroimaging that addiction affects the brain function and structure. And so we have treatment for that. So point being, it's not a choice, it's not a moral failure, it's a disease. And until we start viewing it as a preventable, treatable disease, we're not going to make any further progress in treating it. So we intend to address these misconceptions by educating about the science of addiction and decreasing the stigma associated with substance use disorder.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. You know, at the University of Tennessee, we are going to make this the greatest decade in the history of the University of Tennessee. Yes. And the one way we do that is by addressing the great grand challenges of the state. And there's no question that this is definitely one of our grand challenges. And so I appreciate your leadership and all that you and the network is doing to help end this terrible disease. Thank you so much.
Thank you.